Day 46, start with you.
Hey there, I'm Sarah. Over the next few days, I just want to share with you some things that I've learnt in my times overseas. There were a number of times where, for whatever reason, the circumstances that I found myself in, I was required to be in a lockdown of sorts. The most recent of that was when I was working in Iraq. I worked for a humanitarian organisation, and the goal was my safety and the safety of others, and because of that, there were times where we had to either stay in our house or move only between our home and the office that we worked in. So there were a few things through that experience that I learnt, and over the next 3 days, I want to share with you 3 questions that I used to ask myself to just check in with how I was doing and make sure that I was focusing on the right things. So the first question that I want to talk to you about today, and the thing that I often ask myself, is, Sarah, what brings you life? So what is it that you find lifts you up, lifts your spirit, and how can you engage in doing those things? Before I went to Iraq, and even before I moved overseas, living on the coast of Australia, one of the things that brought me life was walking along the beach. I didn't necessarily have to get in the ocean, but I found the ocean incredibly cleansing, and just smelling that salt air and feeling the space around me was a really life-giving experience to me. Now, I don't know if you know much about the geography of Iraq, but I lived in the northwestern corner of Iraq, which is pretty much as far from any body of water that you can get. The Persian Gulf is right down the other side of Iraq and nowhere near where we could access. But what I did learn was that although it's not the same as an ocean, I found that there were other bodies of water that I could access. We had a dam in our town, and when we were able to get out and about, there was a mountain that overlooked this dam, and it was a bit of a hike, but I enjoyed walking up that mountain and getting to the top, feeling like I'd accomplished something and being able to look at this vast expanse of water that was actually nourishing the town that I lived in. Now, that isn't always the case when you have to stay in your home. So there were other things that I found that brought me life, and it was only through that experience that I actually found out those things. One of them was that I decided I would just pick up the guitar and teach myself. So I bought a guitar, and almost every day I would sit in my bedroom in our little apartment in the town that we lived in, and I would practice chords, and I would play the guitar and sing, and most often I was singing worship songs. And so I really found that actually gave me life, and had I not been through that experience, I wouldn't be able to be helping out with the worship team now for SALT. So there are so many things that these experiences can lead us into. And so today I want to ask you, what is it that brings you life? And if it's maybe something that you can't access, is there a way you can modify it to bring you life now? And if even that doesn't work, what are the new things that you're finding out or you're trying that are bringing you life and feeding your spirit? Because there's so much to offer, even when we're living in a restricted time, of the goodness of God that we can find. In John, Jesus says, I've come to give you life, and not just life, but life abundantly. Even in these times of restrictions, there is abundant life for us that God has in store. And so I really encourage you to find that abundance today. Thanks so much.